Welcome to Daniel's Inferno. My name is Daniel. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is something very, very controversial to many people. I'm going to just jump right into it. Because of the controversial nature of it, I don't have someone helping me today. So, a couple of days ago, Republican lawmakers disrupted the Trump impeachment inquiry to stop Laura Cooper, who was a defense official who was overseeing Ukrainian and Russian matters. They stopped her from testifying. Now, this has historical implications, first and foremost. Those historical implications would be the fact that Tiberius Gracchus, who was a politician in Rome, he was the head of the plebeian council, he was murdered because of the fact that he was trying to implement changes. But the implications and how it relates to this topic is the fact that senators, because of the changes he wanted to make, walked out of the Senate and disrupted it and did not allow things to take their natural course. And people have likened these actions to what started, or one of the things that can be attributed to the fall of Rome. I mean, obviously there were other factors, but that arguably is one of them. Apparently encouraged by Donald Trump to get tougher in fighting, Democrats attempt to impeach him, disrupted the House of Representatives. The impeachment inquiry focuses on Trump's request for Ukraine to investigate a domestic rival, Joe Biden, for his personal political benefit. Now, I don't know. I just want to say quickly, I don't necessarily know that Trump wanted the investigation for his personal political benefit. There are many Americans, just average Americans, who would like answers to the Joe Biden question, and that question being, were there improprieties with him and his son in the Ukraine? Was there pressure exerted unduly from their station onto Ukrainian officials to stop investigation into Joe's son? Democratic representatives, for the most part, aren't asking that question because Joe Biden is a 2020 candidate. I understand that they want to stick with one of their candidates. However, it's partisan gerrymandering, just like the Republicans walking in and not allowing people to testify. This type of divisive gerrymandering only increases the division. It does not help heal it. And that only makes things worse. If we want to head to the fall of Rome, to the fall of Western society, then we should keep doing what we're doing. If we want to make a change, we need to have intellectually honest and have some integrity in our discussions. So, in a dramatic confrontation during an escalating probe, Capitol Police were called in to clear the room and bring order. A witness inside the room said Republicans brought cell phones into the high security facility where electronic devices are forbidden. That's really silly, in my opinion. I'll give my opinion on how I feel about the Trump stuff at the end of this video, but regardless of how I feel about it, I don't think Republicans should be walking in and interrupting the process and doing things that aren't necessarily toward, because what they're doing is very untoward. Now, there's some ironies when it comes to the impeachment process, and those ironies are, well, they're as follows here. So, up on the screen, you will see it's the transcript and all different recommendations made during the Bill Clinton impeachment. So there have been 3 impeachments in history. If Trump was impeached, it would be the 4th. And they have all... So there aren't any set in stone rules. However, the Bill Clinton committee gave some recommendations, and I'm going to read some of the more important ones. Because the issue of impeachment is of such overwhelming importance, the committee decided that it must receive authorization from the full House before proceeding on any further course of action. Because impeachment is delegated solely to the House of Reps by the Constitution, the full House of Reps should be involved in critical decision-making regarding various stages of impeachment. All right? So, arguably, that's not happening right now. The Republicans and the Democrats, there is no bipartisan agreement on this impeachment process. Now, I know the Democrats have majority in the House, so hypothetically, a majority of the House might be supporting impeachment, but that does not mean the full House of Representatives is involved in what is going on. Also, as you can see, I've highlighted it here, they also gave some recommendations for the president's rights when it comes to impeachment, because prior to the October 5th committee meeting, some people raised concerns about the procedural fairness and encouraged the committee to adopt rules similar to those adopted by the committee in '74 when Nixon was impeached, which provide the president with certain procedural rights. Now, the President's Counsel may cross-examine witnesses. The President and his counsel shall be invited to attend all executive session and open committee hearings. The President's Counsel may make objections regarding the pertinency of evidence. The counsel shall be invited to suggest that the committee receive additional evidence. Lastly, the President or the President's Counsel shall be invited to respond to the evidence adduced by the committee at an appropriate time. The provisions will ensure that the impeachment inquiry is fair to the President. Now, this is a longer document. I read through the vast majority of it. It's quite a tedious document. What I've provided for you there is what I would argue is the more important aspects. I'm going to make some comments on that in a few minutes. I also would like to comment on this whole lynching, the fact that the president made a comment about how this stuff, what the impeachment inquiry is similar to a lynching, a partisan lynching. Well, there are historical ramifications of the word lynching. Unarguable, very unarguable. I think it's hypocritical of the Democrats to be so high and mighty about how things were handled. And I'm going to show you a little video here, and it's, I hope at least, shows you why I find it hypocritical.
Bar that was set by the founders as to what constituted an impeachable offense.
This day feels to me like we're taking a step down the road to becoming a political lynch mob.
What we are doing and what we're doing here is not a prosecution, it's a persecution. And indeed,
I just want to comment quickly that Gregory Meeks, he tweeted out about the president's comment and criticized it. So here he is back in '98.
It is a political lynching. The Republicans have had no agenda for over a year. And with this act today, they are signaling that they have no agenda for the future.
I will not disregard the people who elected me. 70% of them have said to me, protect the president. Vote to keep this president in office. So I will not vote for this nightmare before Christmas. I will not vote for this lynching in the people's house. I will vote against these resolutions.
And for those of you who say that this isn't about sex, I agree with you. This is about getting rid of the President of the United States. The whole idea is a lynch mob mentality that says this man has to go.
So as you could all see there,
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Cole Bear.
thanks Smokey. Sorry about that, guys. But as you can see, many Democrats back during the 98 impeachment inquiry likened what happened to a lynching. Probably not appropriate that it happened then either. I understand that that was about 20 years ago and we've matured culturally and as a society. But regardless, it's hypocritical when specific people in 98 called Bill Clinton's impeachment a lynching and then attack Donald Trump's likening of it to a lynching. Well, how? That's beyond hypocritical. I mean, don't do something that you have a problem with. And if you did something you have a problem with, then you can't really have a problem with someone else doing it. End of story. Sorry about that. So, some issues. This is the last point, and then I'm going to talk about my opinion. But some issues with the whole impeachment inquiry are, and I have them written down here in my notes. So, they're not allowing Republicans to have subpoena power. They're also not allowing the President's counsel to take part or be there in these proceedings. And lastly, they're not allowing cross-examination of witnesses. As you remember, in the 98 committee, they recommended the opposite of what they're not allowing. They said that the counsel should be there, they should be allowed to cross-examine, should be invited to sessions. None of this is happening. It's strange. It's very strange. I think that the lack of universal standards for impeachment makes it way too open and way too gray. And I think that at least based off of the 98 committee and in the 74 example with Nixon, there were similarities that allowed the president to have certain rights in the process, which aren't being granted now. So my opinion on all of this. Well, firstly, I think that, I think Donald Trump can be a bit of a bore. I think he can say things that maybe aren't the most couth and are not the most culturally sensitive. But I do think that he has done some pretty decent things for people. I think that when you look at the unemployment rates, when you look at the fact that manufacturing is coming back, those two facts alone, those are pretty strong. And his approval rating goes to show that people aren't as interested in what he says. They're more interested in what he does. And as much as I think there should be some level or some standard of decorum for a head of state, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me that he says some of the things he says. Again, I'm more interested in what he's doing. And I think that this whole impeachment thing I personally think it's baseless. I mean, all he did was say there are some questions about Joe Biden. Maybe it would be good for you to look into that. There's nothing. If you read the actual transcript, it's the most benign conversation ever. That's my thoughts on this. Thank you all very much for watching. Click the like button, follow, subscribe, leave a comment below, and be part of the conversation, please. Give me your opinion. I'm Daniel's Inferno. Have a wonderful day.